So let's pretend that we're doing a live podcast.
A live podcast. And kia ora, Phil.
Kia ora, Kepa.
How are
Welcome.
you today?
Welcome to our
Welcome.
first TribeTech
TribeTech Talk.
Talk, or is it Tech Tribe? TribeTech.
And I think it's no, it's Tech Tribe, isn't it? TribeTech. Oh, let's check our
It's
script.
TribeTech.
Oh, it's TribeTech.
Mm-hmm.
Are we sure?
Yeah.
We're sure now, eh?
Yeah.
Okay, that's called TribeTech.
It's TribeTech. Yeah.
That's TribeTech. With Phil and Kep.
Yeah.
So which one of us is Phil?
I'm Phil.
Alright, okay. I'll be Kep then.
Okay. We'll switch it up next week.
Okay then. And it'll be Kep and Phil's.
That's right.
Excellent tribal adventure.
There we go. So we're recording this because we're going to be doing something. So why don't you tell people who you are, and then I'll tell people who I am? Or do you want me to tell me? You go first.
Okay then. I'll try and go first. My name is. This is weird, man. Hello, everybody. My name is Kepa Maika. I'm from New Zealand. I'm a Maori. Um, I was brought up in a little place called Haratonga or Kennedy's Bay. What else? I've got 3 older sisters. I've got a younger brother. I've got about 13 nieces and nephews. And yeah, that's about it for now. I think as we progress, I get to know me a little bit better and a bit more of a background on that. And I'm going to hand it over to Phil now.
Well, I'm Phil Smyg. I'm Canadian, though I live in Japan now. I left Canada 25 years ago, maybe a bit more, something like that, 25 years ago. And lived in the States, in Europe, and now Japan. And I'm a musician and software writer and internet, I hate to use the word, but internet entrepreneur. And I run a couple of big things. And I have an older brother. And I was raised in a small town in Canada called Sarnia. Population 70,000, which is small for Canada. And yeah, that's why I left. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but anyway, it's just there is more to life than I grew up in a place called Canada's Chemical Valley, so we had all these oil refineries, so I just wanted to leave.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
So why are we talking today? Because you and me, we're gonna try and do something.
Yeah. You tell everybody what we're doing, bro.
That's because you don't know.
Yeah.
So I was there in January, which we'll talk about maybe a bit later. What I thought was cool was that you kind of had this perfect environment, and I know that I work from wherever I am, right? All I need is this internet connection. And you guys had a great internet connection. And I said, wow, I could just live and work here, but not just me. Any technology person could live and work there. And so, okay, yeah, people could go and live there, but there's already people there who could take advantage of what this technology offers if they understood what was offered. So my idea was, why not go there, kind of live as an example for a few weeks to say, okay, you can stay here in this remote place which has less than 200 people now, but still work in these modern things. Like you could still run online stores. You could still do You know, this whole like Amazon FBA thing that people are making supposedly so much money at. Or you could set up anything from this town or from this remote village. There's no barrier, you know, because of technology. And I think people know that. I think even people there probably know that. But they need to see an example, and maybe they need somebody to kind of explain and walk them through. So the idea was I come there and start this process of kind of planting the seed of what you can do in the 21st century, so that you don't have to leave and go to Auckland or go to wherever, or just forget about where you're from. So that's what we're going to do in a few weeks.
We are going to be doing that a few weeks' time from now. It's pretty bloody exciting. Just to add on to that, or put my perspective on that, if you don't mind, Phil, while you take a bit of a tea break. Coffee break. Was that you're absolutely right that we did have some idea, because I was a teacher there, and I did a stint as a principal. So and I love technology myself. I wouldn't say I'm a tech guy, but I wouldn't say I'm absolutely useless and know nothing either. But when I was principal there, I was trying to teach that those values. I guess I don't know if they're values, but they're skills anyway. But what we were lacking was any examples, because I didn't know. I thought I knew how to do it, but I wasn't living it. I wasn't making any money off online and all of that stuff. So but it all clicked when you come over, right? When you actually come over for a week, and we had a little meeting one night, didn't we? And this is where I'm going to hand it over to you and throw you under the bus. Go.
Yeah, we had a meeting, I guess, and well, I think the idea kind of was there in my mind, but I think what clicked for me was that it wasn't just about me coming there and saying, oh, this is what you can do, and like running a course or something like that, because it was also about the effect on me, you know, changing I come with a certain set of skills that I could explain, but an attitude comes back, you know, and that's why we're talking about this being TribeTech. You know, it's both ways. I think that so my thing is not to come there and teach what you can do. It's kind of just to interact and see what people think, you know. And I think that's what the meeting we had was when it really I went, you know, it's not about, you know, coming and giving away information. It's about developing an idea together, kind of thing.
Put this one in there. You ain't coming over to colonize us.
Exactly. I didn't want to say it, but yeah, that's yeah. It's not about technical colonization.
From me, I
That's
can say
that. Yeah.
I'll say that for you, Phil. You didn't come over to colonize us.
Yeah. And I think I was very aware, probably about like the third day in. I think like that night we sat down like with Mariana and everybody and said, and it was just kind of like, you know, it's not about not being able. It's just not about having the example. And you can't, even online, if you look at the video or something, a video of a guy doing it, it's not really an example. And yeah, so I just wanted to make something that was more involving, you know, and that's why the whole idea is to come there like this 6 weeks, which is a very long time, But it's just kind of to make it normal, you know. Oh, there's a
Yeah.
guy, what's that guy over there doing? Oh, he's running an internet business, and just it's normal.
I totally agree with you with when other people have kind of attempted to do that, and it's always been with that mindset of I'm gonna go over there and teach you
Hmm.
something. So when you did come over, bro, what was your mindset like that before you actually come into the tribe?
Well, I mean, the thing that was interesting,
No filter, bro.
I'm
No
a
filter at
pretty,
all.
I'm a pretty, I'm trying to think of a nice way to say this, but I'm very kind of structured person, and so like normally when I travel, I know exactly what I'm doing. Like I know that I'm spending 3 nights here in this place, and pretty much what I'm gonna do, and blah blah blah. So when we came down there, I had no clue at all what was going to happen, and to be honest, I didn't even really know you. You know, we chatted online, over the course of a year or whatever it was, but so or 2 years or however long, and but all I knew was I was getting on a plane, I was flying to Auckland, and that a day later, this guy who I don't know is going to show up in a car and drive me to some place I don't exactly know where it is, and I don't know where I'm going to be sleeping. And my with my wife Aiko. So we don't know where we're going to be sleeping, what we're going to be doing, who we're going to be with, or even where it is. Like I wasn't exactly even sure on a map where I was going. So for me, that was totally different than normal for me. Uh, so that already was a change, and so I was ready for that. I said, okay, it's uncomfortable, but I'm ready for it, and so I think that started it off. And I think a lot of people, like you've had a couple of the people come there before, and traveling in general, you always go in with an idea. What the place is going to be like that you're going to go, and especially in this day and age when you can research everything on the internet. Normally when you travel, it's almost like checkbox travel. Even these people who go to Thailand or Cambodia, they know 100 other people who've gone to Cambodia and Thailand. They know what temple they're going to go to. Their friends have told them what they have to do and not do. And I'm not into doing anything, like, and that's why it was so great to come there, because I literally spent a week doing nothing. I worked, but so it was, for me, it was great. I don't have to go and like climb the stairs of Angkor Wat or whatever it is like this, and and all this shit. So uh, that's what it was like coming there for me.
What did you end up doing besides nothing, bro?
Uh, I ate a lot, and I just hang out and talk with people, right? That's pretty much what we did for a week, And okay, we went over to Coromandel and played music one afternoon or whatever. But pretty much it was like being at home. It was not. It was very relaxed and normal, and dealing with people. It was just yeah, that kind of thing. And then we had the big, thing on the last day. But um, yeah, so it was pretty cool.
What big thing was that? I can't even remember.
We dug the pit and put in the meat and did the. I'm not going to pretend that I remember the Maori name for it. So,
Hangi.
Hagi, that's it. Yeah. Yeah.
I must say, Phil, you're the king of understatement. You're the king of understatement, my bro. It's bloody refreshing actually, because from our perspective, uh, you, nobody knew that you were coming over really, because you'll have to ask the rest of the cousins what they think, but and I'm not even going to pretend that I can talk on their behalf, but the way I kind of, to put it shallowly or superficially, the way I marketed you, um, was this, and I was right. I know I was right because when they experienced you, they were like so shocked at what you'd achieved through your life, like being an entrepreneur and having so what I noticed about you and what we all noticed about you is that you're so humble about your success. And I would get questions from my cousins like, "Who's this guy?" And I'd say, he lives in Japan. He owns these 2 businesses. Man, this dude like acts like he's done nothing. Like how you said, you come over to New Zealand and did nothing. Well, that may be true, but there was a lot going on when you were doing nothing. And just the way that you come into the family, they loved you, man. They absolutely loved you because of your personality and just who you are, despite all the success that you've achieved financially. Not just financially, of course, but as oh no, I'm going to just stick to that. But to have you amongst us was a real cool experience because it wasn't you. I don't know. You kind of had this feeling that you didn't come in to learn about our culture, but you did come in with a hugely open heart and a huge open mind.
And like you said, okay, I didn't come there to learn the culture. That's kind of true because I didn't want to come there and say, okay, now be Maori for me. Put on the Maori show. I didn't want to get into all that. It's like I just wanted to come over there and hang out and just be part of whatever the daily normal thing was. And because I figure I'm going to learn about the people and the culture by doing that. I mean, if I come over and say, okay, I've got 5 days, tell me everything about the Maori, do every Maori thing for me, be more Maori, you know. If I was like that, then you wouldn't be happy, or on your side you wouldn't be happy. And for me, I would have walked away with an experience that it wasn't real. So that's why I came in with no expectation and no, not really any even preconceived idea.
Fuck. Fuck, you cracked me up. Oh, it's cool fucking hearing my thoughts come out of your mouth. That's pretty cool, man.
If I go into something that's really different, if I go in with an expectation, probably that expectation is going to be met because I'm going to make it happen, So I'm just not going in with an expectation, and then you just let it happen,
That brings up an interesting question then for me, and maybe maybe the millions and millions of fans watching around the world. Do you take that into your business life as well? That same attitude?
That attitude is my whole life. I have, but when you think about it, it's kind of a music attitude as well. Or I should say, I take that attitude from music or into music. I'm not sure which way it goes, but when I go and play, and here in Japan, I go and I do a lot of these what they call sessions, which is like jam session thing, and I just go and it's, like, let's play whatever you want to play, and I think not a lot of musicians even do that. A lot of musicians say, okay, I want to play this song and I want to do this and I'm just like, whatever, let's just make the experience, because as soon as I say I want to do this, maybe I'm missing out on the input that you would have had that would have made it even better. So it's just, like, whatever. And my business life has been like that, because I just kind of took whatever path happened. I mean, that could explain also why I haven't totally, capitalized. I could have maybe been financially a lot more successful, but I didn't want to live like that. I just wanted to kind of float through the experience.
So for those people out there listening, again, the millions and billions of and trillions of fans out there, shit, it just dropped the bombshell on all of us there, Phil. Especially, well, for me, definitely. In terms of, and I just learned so much in a few sentences there, bro. About having that attitude where we're not so up your ass, that like I need it to be this way and I need it to be that way, and if because when you have that attitude, if it doesn't go that way, then everything falls apart. It makes me look back on my own music career and where I have done that, where and probably continue to do that, and yet I've had that. There's been so many moments where I had that same attitude that you're describing, and it just goes. It just like everything just flows. We have. Oh, so I had an experience 2 weeks ago with that, and with the reo, teaching the reo back at home. Oh, the reo is my Maori language, our Maori language, and there was a moment where I actually didn't want to go back because I knew I was doing it for the wrong reasons. So it was more, I just wanted to get paid, and even before that, I wanted to teach my people how to man. I think I got the colonization. I was there to colonize people, my own people. But it's that attitude of like I know better. So we would do these 3-day workshops or wānanga about helping my people to experience themselves again, or our culture again, and I help do that by helping them to learn their language, and we do it out of our marae. I was suffering from a bad experience that when I was doing these 3-day workshops a couple of years ago, I was saying the right things, but I had the wrong insight. I was helping others, but really I was only doing it for myself, and but saying the right words, because I'm a clever bugger. I know what to say to make people feel good about themselves. So fast forward to 2 years later, and I'm going to go and do my first one out of a series of 4, and we do these on a monthly basis. I had a pretty sinking feeling when I went to go and do that, and I felt like I don't want to make those same mistakes again. I don't actually even want to be going to this, because what if I have that same attitude again? That you know, it's not a hell of a lot of money as well, you know, and uh, I just had that sinking feeling that, oh no, I'm going to repeat the same mistakes. But as soon as I got there, my cousins were really happy to see me, but they weren't the ones who,
Right.
it soon turned out that they weren't the ones who were wanting to learn the language. It was two new other people. And when I say new, I just hadn't really met them before, just a few little interactions. But the purpose of these workshops, I'm not going to call them workshops from now on. I'm going to call them wānanga, what they are. They are wānanga. It's a way of living. It's what you did over here, Phil. And when I got there that night, two new people came, and they were my niece and my nephew, not of my brother or sister, but of my 10th cousin. But as you know, everybody in the tribe is either niece or nephew or auntie or uncle. It's pretty easy. And they'd never experienced being on our marae, which is our home base. It's our home. It is our home. And to see their excitement, knowing that they were absolutely looking forward to learning who they were, who they are, or experiencing themselves on the other side of the fence, meaning that they didn't go there just for because they had to go. They were there by choice, and that they were, looking to other people to help them experience their culture. And as soon as you get that feeling, you kind of forget about yourself in that moment, and oh, far out, that's what I do have some skills that I could help them with and help them develop. And it was honestly, it was the best wānanga that I've been to. And it was because I wasn't the chief, and I wasn't the spokesperson, and all I had to do was come in and just teach. I didn't have to worry about doing the kai, because kai, the food, cooking for us. We did it all together, and I just had to come in and run a lesson. And the cool thing is, we achieved in 2 hours what we were supposed to achieve in 4 months. We might as well just enjoy each other's company, which has always been the intention, so they could just explore who they were and their own culture. But what you said about, not with going in with all these expectations. I want this to happen. I want that to happen. I, in a sense, I do agree with that, but not at the level of like forcing things to happen.
Yeah.
Forcing it to happen the way you want it. Because that doesn't necessarily mean the way you want to do things is the way it should be done.
Right.
You'll still get what you want at the end. It just wasn't done the way that you wanted it to be done.
Right. So, like, it's kind of like what you're saying, in a way, that, it was just doing the thing that was right for you. And when you're doing the thing that's right for you, it works for the other people, What you're doing kind of is exactly what I'm talking about. You learn it for a couple hours, and then you normalize it by hanging out together, and then it just becomes part of the real thing. So you don't have to sit down in a classroom. And that's exactly what we're talking about doing with this technology, is that, okay, there's going to be a little bit of learning. There has to be. I have to sit down and say, look, this is what you can do. This is what the options are. And then, so, we're there. I'm there for 6 weeks. And so, like, maybe one afternoon a week, we say, okay, let's talk about what the actual options are and bring it on point. But then all the rest of the time, it's kind of like um, maybe that idea works into your brain, and you say, "Oh, you know what? I was thinking about what we said about the technology, and I could, do a business that did this or whatever, or I could use a computer to help me with this." It's all about that, just bringing it in. Planting the seed is really important, I think. Well, because I live a kind of very uh, remote existence, if you want, because, okay, I live with my wife here, but I live in a country where, I'm not native to that country and I'm not a fluent speaker of that language. And if I look back on the last 20 years of my life, the last 20 years have been like that. In Europe, it was the same thing. I was living in countries where I was not a native, so I didn't have like a family around me. I wasn't fluent in the language. I was maybe good in the language, but not fluent. So I'm living very remotely, isolated kind of. And so when you say, yeah, it's not drawn out of me, it's because I'm not in situations a lot, And the stressful thing for me, because I'm not really a people person, So the one thing that I was worried about coming there when I went there last time is that two things actually. One, there's going to be a lot of people that I'm going to have to talk to, and I was like, oh God, because I can do that for a while, but after a while I can't take it. And then the other thing was like, oh my God, there's going to be lots of kids there, so those are the two things that kind of were worrying me. And both were true. I ended up that I had to talk to a lot of people, and there were a lot of kids there. But it wasn't, that was my one negative expectation, I guess. And it wasn't negative. It wasn't a negative experience. But it took me a couple days to put that aside. And I think that's why, like, the first couple of days were a bit rocky. Or I was very kind of remote more, I think, in the first couple of days. And then by the second day, I was kind of like, well, I'm here. I don't even know where I am, really, so I can't even leave. So I might as well just, uh, get into it, Yeah. So,
That's right, because you were stuck. You were
yeah.
well and truly stuck.
Yeah, yeah.
Because for all those people out there, we could have we actually could have killed Phil,
Oh, yeah.
buried him up in the bush, and no one would have known anything.
It could have been like Maori version of Deliverance,
Exactly.
And then I just said, okay, whatever, just enjoy it, and I did enjoy it, and but at the same thing, I am who I am. So like I can't talk to people 24 hours a day or whatever. I just can't emotionally take it.
So,
And
Phil, I've got a
mm-hmm,
couple of questions for you, actually.
mm-hmm,
Um, you grew up in a small town called Canada,
mm-hmm,
70,000 people.
mm-hmm.
Um, so, so then, what was your childhood like growing up?
I had kind of like perfect childhood, and I was lucky. I grew up at the perfect time in the perfect place. I came from a upper middle class family, and so there was never any worries about anything. And it was really kind of like what you see on TV. Was from kind of that romanticized time of growing up as a kid in North America. That's kind of what I had. We never saw anything. We never had any bad things happen. There was never any violence, any crime, nothing. I mean, it was really like TV show. Um, and so I remember when you're too young to remember this, but I remember when the Munich Olympics happened, and there was that hostage taking at the Munich Olympics and people were killed. And I was about 6 when that happened. And I remember that because that was kind of like, wow, there's violence in the world. But other than that, I never had anything. It was really kind of ideal. So
Okay, so
I'm an
wow, that
innocent person. So I was very fortunate. Very, very
yeah.
fortunate.
So how old were you when you kind of flew the coop?
I mean, the other thing, I guess, the other side of my childhood is that my parents are British. So from when I was very young, we were flying back and forth. I think almost every year or every other year, we were going back. So I always traveled, even as a baby. I have one of those books. Back in those days, they used to give you a little book before they had frequent flyer miles. They would write down and say, "Oh, you took these flights." I have one of those books going back to when I was 6 months old. The first flight I took to England was when I was 6 months old. So I've
Yeah.
literally been traveling my whole life.
Wow. Do you still have that book
I
on you?
do
Like,
somewhere. Yeah, it's in Canada, I think. Yeah.
when you go back to Canada and on our next podcast, can you please bring it on so we can see it?
I'll see if I can find it. Yeah, I certainly have pictures of me at that time when I was traveling. But yeah, um, so I kind of always had the wanderlust. Actually, my mother's from the north of England, which is like really
Mhm.
poor, but they moved to London when she was a kid. But it's interesting. My mother doesn't talk with a North England accent because she consciously learned how to get the accent kind of BBC English. She taught herself as a kid to speak like that because she didn't want to
That's
talk like a northerner.
that's pretty cool, man.
So yeah.
That's cool. That's real cool.
So I come from a long line of imposters.
Oh man, that's cool. Hey,
So
I
your childhood also was kind of remote, right? A little bit.
yeah, definitely. So where I grew up was a little place called Coromandel, and you've
Mm-hmm.
been there, and not many other people have been there. Um, so when I was growing up, it was about a population of maybe 2 or 3 thousand,
Mm-hmm.
and that was the town center. So when you compare like the a small town to Canada
Mm.
and New Zealand, we probably only reached 10% of what
Yeah.
you were brought up in.
Yeah.
Um, so it was rural, very rural compared to nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
But just half an hour from there is another place that you've come to, Haratonga or
Mm-hmm.
Kennedy's Bay, and that population is about maybe 200 at
Mm.
the time. It's actually gone. There's a lot less of us now, and we grew up in sort of two different worlds. Um, one of my culture, which is our Maori culture, and of course in the Western society, if that's what you want to call it. Yeah, growing up as a child, uh, some people would call it secluded, but now that I look back on it, it was busy.
Mm.
There was always people. I may have known every single one of the 200 people that I interacted with because they were related to me. But and that's only on my mother's side. Another few hundred
Mm.
on my father's side, and then all the kind of little um, uh, connected tribes in the area that I was brought up. So, I guess, man, 10% of the population that I come that from the town that I was
Mm-hmm.
living in were actually related to me. I never thought of it like that.
Wow. Mm.
Yeah, true. When you put the numbers like that. Of course, it's exploded in the last 5, 10 years. a little rural town has come. There's still nothing compared to you guys. I mean, it's up to maybe 10,000 now, if that.
Yeah.
I don't think it's even there.
And that's probably pretty seasonal, right?
Yeah, it's very seasonal. That's good, cool. Yeah, it'd probably. I think it'll only be about 5,000, 5,000 consistently. But still a pretty slow growth considering we're only 2 hours from Auckland. You know, the biggest city in New Zealand with a population of 1.5 million. And yeah. So anyway, brother.
All right. Well, let's talk in a few days, and then we can maybe do another one of these next week.
Yeah, bro.
Okay.
Okay. Ka brother.
Have a good one.
Phil and Kip. Phil and Kip's excellent tribal adventure. Peace out.